Good morning children. Myself Jyoti Nahar from Shiv Jyoti Educational Group, Kota, and today I will be taking the second part of the video, that is chapter number 1 will be taken, eating habits of animals. So children, in our previous video we have covered up the topics eating habits of animals and how animals eat. In this we have discussed about the different animals like carnivores, herbivores and omnivores, and what are their eating habits, how different animals like elephants, frogs, snakes, they have their food. So now in this video part 2 we are going to cover up the topics food chain and care of domestic animals. So children, you are going to open your books to page number 10. So we are going to start with food chain. So what is food chain? Food chain shows the interdependence of some animals on the other, and all food chains, they start from plants. So we all animals, whether they are herbivores or carnivores, they directly or indirectly depend on plants for their food. Like you can see in the picture here, this shows that first grass is eaten up by the deer, and this deer in turn is eaten up by the tiger. So this shows a food chain, and again this food chain is starting from plants. So this chain is showing the dependence of living organisms on each other for their food. Similarly, we are going to discuss another food chain over here. Let us take up a different food chain on board. So first, all the food chains, they start from plants or grass, and this grass in turn is eaten up by grasshoppers. They eat up the grass, and these grasshoppers, they are eaten up by the frogs, and these frogs, they are again swallowed by snakes. Snakes, they usually swallow up the frogs. So this is showing the interdependence of animals on each other. So we call it a food chain where all the animals are interdependent on the others for their food. Like the grasshopper is dependent on grass, frog is dependent on the grasshopper, and the snakes are dependent on the frogs for their food. So this is showing a food chain. Now we come to care of domestic animals. So we come to the topic how we can take care of domestic animals. Domestic animals are the animals which are kept for some purpose or as pets, but we need to take care of them too. So how we can take care of these animals? We should take good care of domestic animals because they are very useful to us. Some animals like cow, buffalo, they give us food materials like milk, and some they work for us like dogs, they help or guard our houses. So we should give them proper food and clean water. Along with this, their shelters should be cleaned regularly, and sometimes if they fall sick, we should take them to the veterinary doctors. And what are the veterinary doctors? They are the doctors which treat sick animals. So this was how we can take care of animals. So the explanation of the chapter has been done. I hope you have understood the chapter well. Now let us take up the copywork, children. So we are going to discuss the copywork of chapter number 1, eating habits of animals. So on each and every page, children, you are going to draw the red margins as shown. The first question is definitions, in which the first definition is of food chain. What is a food chain? It is a chain showing dependence of living things on each other for food. As we have discussed that the grass is eaten up by the deer and the deer is eaten up by the lion. So this is showing a food chain where the other animal is dependent on the previous one for his food. Next, we have the definition of omnivores. What are omnivores? Omnivores are the animals that eat both plants and other animals. They take up plants as well as the flesh of other animals. So what do we call these type of animals that eat both plants and the flesh of other animals? We call them omnivores. Moving further, we have answer the following, in which the first question is what kind of teeth herbivores have. Now what are herbivores? Herbivores are plant eating animals, and what kind of teeth do they have? Herbivores have flat, broad and strong teeth to chew their food well. They have strong teeth in front and broad and flat teeth at the back so that they can chew their food properly. These are herbivores like cow, buffalo, and these animals can be also called as cud chewing animals. Next question, why do animals need food? And what is the answer to the second question? Animals need food to live, to get energy and to grow. Like we people, we have food to get energy. Similarly, the animals, they also need food to live, to get energy and to grow up. So the third question is differentiate between herbivores and carnivores. We are going to make the table with the red pencil, where we are going to show the first part will show the herbivores and the second part will show carnivores. The first point for this, in this table you are going to write animals that eat plants. So herbivores are animals that eat plants, or we can also call them plant eating animals. Carnivores, what are carnivores? Animals that eat flesh, or we can also call them flesh eating animals. And what are the examples of herbivores? Examples are cow and deer. And what are the examples of carnivores? Examples are lion and tiger. So you are going to make the table with the help of a red pencil and do it in this tabular form. Next, question number 4, we have given example of food chain. As we have discussed on the blackboard just now, children, food chain showing first grass, and this grass is eaten up by the grasshopper, grasshopper is eaten up by the frog, and the frog is eaten up by the snake. So this is showing the food chain where each animal is dependent on the other for its food. So this was all about the explanation and the copy work, children. You are going to do it in your copies in a very beautiful handwriting and do it very neatly. Thank you, children.